never rests.
Counting careless in the sky. What a thrilling time to be alive.
Welcome to the Georgia Show, live from Miami / Fort Lauderdale. Me and Palmer Toms here in South Florida for the Orange Bowl. Last chance to talk to you before number 6 Georgia takes on number 5 Florida State in the Orange Bowl. Though both teams look a little different than you've expected all year, or you've seen all year, Georgia's going to look a lot less different than Florida State. And listen, if you want to get some last-minute tickets to come down and see this game, maybe you're a Florida resident, maybe you've got some free time, we know where you need to go, and that is Game Time. Game Time is listen, I got some Dave Chappelle tickets off of here the other night. Me and Brandon Adams from Dog Nation went over, and it was a phenomenal time. We had a blast. It was so easy to get the tickets. It was so easy to see exactly where we would be seeing the venue from, and you can do the same thing for the Orange Bowl. You see all those tickets available. Obviously this is a game. It's not a playoff game, and I know Georgia fans would probably be the first to tell you they're a little bit spoiled. And but you can get some cheap tickets for this game. You can get some good seats for this game. And Game Time's where you need to make it happen. Use the promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, to get $20 off your first order from the Game Time after downloading the app. Or you can go on over to gametime.co and check it out there if you're on desktop or if you're just not a person who likes to download apps. The thing I love about this thing more than anything is you can get these last minute ticket deals, and they're so good at getting those tickets over there and transferring them to you so quickly. Or you can plan ahead of time and kind of get some others. But yeah, there are some great seats available for this Orange Bowl. I do love Hard Rock. I think it's a wonderful venue. Maybe this time I won't walk entirely around the stadium to get to the media pass gate like I did the last time I was here. Beautiful venue, beautiful weather down here today, and expect it to be that way tomorrow as well, I do believe. And Palmer's got a little bit of a preview here for you. Palmer, you got a weather report for us, this Friday morning. You're out there in the elements.
Yeah, it's sunny. It's beautiful weather out here. A little bit of a breeze, but so maybe the kickers will want to take note. But no, it's great down here. Yesterday was a little bit ugly. Practice viewing portion of that was delayed until today. Jake will have you covered from that. And it was ugly yesterday, but it is absolutely gorgeous today. Exactly what you want in sunny South Florida. We'll
get to see a little yoga today. I bet we get to see a little bit of stretching.
Yeah.
Honestly, not fired up about that element. I hope we get to see a little bit of a walkthrough or something, but that kind of dovetails perfectly into we heard from Kirby Smart this morning. I'll be honest with you. I think the Georgia head man looks like he needs a little bit of sleep. I don't know if he went to Space Club last night or what, but and threw down with some EDM music. But he looked a little haggardy this morning. He looked a little tired. And listen, I am too. We all are. I don't know what it is about this place. It takes the juice out of you. But he did talk about the guys that are here. He said, we'll see on Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is not playing this game. I'd bet my house on it. He's just not playing this game. Said Amarius Mims is with the team. From what we understand, Amarius joined the team yesterday, meaning that he definitely missed Wednesday's practice. He definitely wasn't out there when we were out there. We did see 15 early enrollees plus London Humphreys. So that's a positive. But we did not see Amarius Mims out there. Very seriously doubt he's going to play. Would also bet that he's not, he's going to be out for this one as well. And spoke about Damon Wilson, who did not arrive with the team, but is currently with the team, had a minor knee injury that required a scope and should be back in time for spring practice. That seems to have it covered. Is that about right? I mean, Daniel Harris is here.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. Daniel Harris.
Yeah, we do know that. There was a little bit of an exchange there where Kirby said that Daniel Harris is definitely not in the portal, despite the fact that he did announce on Christmas Day that he was intending on entering the portal. Fun. This is what we do.
Yep. Just got to keep up with a little bit of the chaos there. But, yeah, Daniel Harris is here. Julian Humphrey is here and was an active participant in practice the other day. Had a black jersey on. He's missed the last couple of games since the Ole Miss game when he got hurt. And look, that would be big for Georgia, considering the cornerbacks that it does not have here. Obviously, not necessarily guys that were playing a major role, but Nyland Green, A.J. Harris, guys that have entered the transfer portal from that cornerback room, and remains to be seen, kind of the involvement that all these, probable NFL draft bound guys have, Kamari Lassiter being one of those. But I think the fact that they are here and the fact that they have spoken to us and said that they want to play means that they are going to play. Kirby said that there's still some opportunities out there, and that exists for some of those guys that are stepping into a major role or a bigger role. But I think it also probably exists for some of those guys that could be stepping into bigger roles next year for some of those guys. You're muted.
Don't get got by that blower out there. I know there's a big backpack blower out there somewhere near you. I saw it about 20 minutes ago myself. So don't get blown away by that thing. But yeah, this is this is going to be interesting to kind of not only to see who plays, but to see how Georgia employs the guys who are veterans in this game. Florida State's decimated. There's just no other way to say it. They're missing a lot of production, especially on offense, missing a substantial amount of production on defense too, but they are missing a ton of production on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, you look category by category, you talk about rushing touchdowns, rushing yards, passing yards, all that stuff. I mean, when you talk about the quarterback position, their top two quarterbacks aren't going to play in this game. So 100% of their passing touchdowns and the vast majority of their passing yards gone. Rushing, the top two tailbacks are gone. So they're going to be missing a lot of that as well. It's going to be interesting to see if Georgia, I especially expect this, if Georgia is able to jump all over them and this bowl prep that we've heard about that's been so good from Carson Beck and from other players, if the bowl prep has been as good as Georgia has been touted and Georgia plays as well as it's capable of playing, I think it can jump all over Florida State, and then you will get to see a lot of young players. But ultimately, what it comes down to is, will you see some young players, have some young players during this whole bowl practice? Have they earned a greater opportunity? And, Palmer, if you had to pick one guy, if you had to pick one group or position group or any, kind of focal point on where you expect to see some new faces, where would you say that is?
Yeah, to me, I think it's that edge group. And I'll kind of, play defensive end and outside linebacker together because of, the question is Mykel Williams going to end up making a move from defensive end, hand in the dirt type player to outside linebacker? They're so intertwined. But, I mean, with Marvin Jones Jr. having entered the portal, Darius Smith and C.J. Madden having entered the portal, there's a lot of opportunities. Damon Wilson not being healthy. There's a lot of opportunities. That is a thin group. And maybe we see more of Jalen Walker playing that outside linebacker role. I think that he could have a really good shot to play the inside linebacker spot too, because you have Jamon Dumas-Johnson who has transferred. You have E.J. Lightsey and Xavier Sorey that have transferred. And you've got a Smile Munden that is far, far, far from 100%. Kirby has said the guys that are healthy that will play, and I don't know if Smile is or isn't healthy, enough to play, but I feel like he is not 100% based on everything that we've heard. And so wouldn't surprise me to see some of those guys, a guy like Jalen Walker, get some opportunities in his HLB role, hybrid linebacker.
That fascinates me too, because let's say Smile Munden let's say they decide to sit Smile Munden and allow him to get healthy, which is something we've heard a substantial amount of buzz about over the past few weeks, right? So if they do that, then you've got C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson. Jamon Dumas-Johnson's in the portal. You mentioned E.J. Lightsey, Xavier Sorey. If Jalen Walker, with all of the stuff going on at edge with Darius Smith and Damon Wilson being hurt and no Marvin Jones Jr., I mean, you can't really use Jalen Walker as an inside and outside linebacker, full time. He's not going to be able to play that many snaps. So would you see a Troy Bowles? Would you see Terrell Foster at inside linebacker? That position's a little deeper in terms of bodies than the outside linebacker position is, obviously, because outside linebacker is borrowing from inside linebacker a little bit. So, Georgia's going to be short on linebackers in this game. And I think it's almost a given because of that. You're going to have to see Michael Williams at outside backer because, this is Tramel Wildflower's last game. He's going to play a lot. He's going to be gone after next year. You got Tyrone Ingram-Dawkins playing defensive end. Florida State's not the only team that's got some real shorthanded issues in this game.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Michael Williams being borrowed a little bit, from that out defensive end room to the outside linebacker room. Gabe Harris is in that same boat. Certainly a situation where, a kid that was recruited as an outside guy moved to the edge, more out of necessity when they were dealing with a couple of injuries there. Tyrone Ingram-Dawkins wasn't completely healthy to start the season. Michael Williams was out for one game at one point. So, a lot of different things going on there with the outside linebacker, inside linebacker, the defense as a whole. I feel like on offense, we're going to see more of Georgia's guys that played this year playing, because Carson Beck is returning. You've got the two running backs, Kendall Milton and Dejan Edwards, that both are likely going to be gone next year, but are here to play in this game. Kendall made that pretty clear to you, in talking to the media. And so I think that, with the guys that are here on offense, we've got a really good opportunity to see Georgia's offense and maybe even a taste of what it's going to look like in 2024 versus the defense. I feel like there's a couple more of those questions of who's going to step up, who's going to be replacing some of these spots where maybe they've been hit by the portal, maybe they've been hit by injury, yada, yada, yada.
Absolutely. Let's give some love to our folks over at Prize Picks before we move on to our next topic. And listen, Prize Picks, we've had a lot of fun playing with Prize Picks this season, and you can too. Listen, it's skill based. It's daily. It's weekly. You can make college picks, NFL, NBA. Palmer's in NASCAR. Can we do NASCAR? No. Yes. Maybe. No. No NASCAR. There's nothing really going on there anyway. You can do soccer. You can do WNBA. You can do tennis. Maybe you can't do WNBA. I'm trying to look here. NHL. It doesn't matter. This is your way to kind of get involved in the sport you love, or maybe a sport where you've been a casual fan, you want to get a little deeper. Listen, do your research. Go in, look at matchups, look at stats, look at trends, and you can make picks that can allow you to put a little money in your pocket. Palmer, tell us give us some intel on what it looks like in terms of our promo code and what that can get you with Prize Picks.
Yeah, promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, gets you 100% match, deposit match up to $100. And like you said, we've had some fun doing it this year. Made a little bit of money. We say it's skill based. We've been hitting it. So, maybe it's not all that much skill-based because, the two fools like us have been able to make a little bit of dough on it. So, yeah, super fun. Like you said, a lot of different sports represented. And some of those that you mentioned, just not in season. NASCAR, Daytona 500 in February. They'll get going then. WNBA, I don't know if they're in season right now. I don't think that they are. I think they play more during the summer. So, but yeah, like you said, NFL, NBA, college football, college basketball, NHL, just about anything you could want. Prize Picks has got it. Promo code DAWGS for 100% deposit match up to $100. Great way to get going and have some fun as you watch sports.
Hey, let's scroll up to a couple of those picks. We're not going to make these officially because we only picked the Georgia games, but let's look at some of these. You got Cade Klubnik here for Clemson quarterback. They're playing Kentucky, and he's sitting there with 190.5 yards. I kind of like the over on that because I am not very high. Well, he is missing Bo Collins, who did go into the portal, so that's something to keep an eye on. But I don't love Kentucky's pass defense there. Looking around here, you're seeing
this is one that stands out to me. Jackson Dart and Ole Miss. They obviously like to throw it around, and they've got a lot of momentum, positive momentum with guys that are set to return for next season. Obviously, they've got the transfer portal Obviously Devin Brown playing and getting his first start for Ohio State. That's interesting as Kyle McCord steps in. I don't know about that one. 228.5 is a lot there for a first-time starter that could maybe be without Marvin Harrison.
I like that. I like that Brady Cook 222.5 yards against Ohio State. Not necessarily because I think Ohio State's vulnerable, but just because I think, listen, Missouri's had a magical season. They've had a really good season, and I think they're going to be really fired up to play in that game. That 290.5 for Quinn Ewers is another one I've got my eye on, because
that at 313.5 for Michael Penix, that is a lot.
That is a lot. And that Texas defense is pretty good. They're really good up front. Those are some that stand out to us. And listen, going over to Prize Picks, get involved, make your picks, see what they got coming up as far as Georgia later this week. We're not seeing any of those on the board, or we would pick them live for you on there. But we love Prize Picks, and it's a lot of fun, and a great way to kind of get yourself a little bit more immersed into what's going on in the world of college football. All right, Palmer, let's talk about this game, and how do you think it's going to go? Do you think ultimately, we've talked about it over and over and over again, Florida State's missing so much. Is it going to be a little bit of I'm not saying Florida State's going to be a pushover, but is it going to be a little bit of a pushover experience for Georgia, in your opinion?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's so difficult. I mean, we've seen the line move, up from, it was 14.5 earlier this week, 14.5. And last I checked, it was up to 20. And I think that tells you a lot. I think that there's so much uncertainty in this game. It's really hard to, hard to pick players to watch, hard to pick keys to victory, hard to do, different, predictions and such, because there's so much uncertainty surrounding, in some ways, I feel like you've got a little bit more certainty about who Florida State's going to be, because those guys that are opting out have been announced. That who's not going to be suiting up. For Georgia, we don't really know. We've got a good feeling on Brock Bowers and that he's probably not going to play. Amarius Mims, and that he's probably not going to play. But we don't know that. I mean, we also don't know if, Lad McConkey and Smile Munden and guys like that have been banged up, are they going to give it a go? Are they going to give it a go for a quarter, 2 quarters, a half, a full 4 quarters? It really remains to be seen. And I think that's the hard part about picking this game. I do think that ultimately the buy-in that Georgia has with those, we've been able to see the buy-in with the guys that have shown up and what they've said, and they appear to be really, really focused on this game. And so to me, that says that Georgia is going to show up and is going to probably have its way with Florida State a little bit. But would it shock me if Georgia is not covering a spread of 20 points? No. I think it's really, really hard to pinpoint how this game is going to get played, because of all the uncertainty around who is going to play.
Yeah, I think the one aspect of this game we haven't talked about a lot, and there's really not, I guess because there's not a whole lot of layers to it, is the fact that we had 5 defensive players come out and talk to us on Tuesday or Wednesday, and of those 5 defensive players, none of them had lost more than 2 games in a Georgia uniform. The 3 of them had only lost 1 game, and they're coming off that loss. I mean, Georgia's used to winning, and they're not. Listen, it's been a long time since Georgia's lost 2 games in a row. It has been, I believe, it was since the 2018 season.
2018, and that Sugar Bowl, SEC Championship Sugar Bowl with Alabama and Texas.
It's been a long time since Georgia lost 2 games in a row, and that's not to say it's not possible. But I do think that this loss has left a bad taste in players' mouth. Talk to Jalen Walker, talk to Michael Williams about that. Malachi Starks. All 3 of those guys have experienced 1 loss in a Georgia uniform. They seem pretty set on making this a record-setting situation for the seniors and the outgoers. So I think Georgia's going to be focused. I think it's all going to depend on, are you going to execute early in this game? Because I do think Georgia will come out swinging. I do think Georgia will have its opportunities, open receivers downfield, chance to get turnovers. The only way Florida State keeps this game close is if it's a low-scoring game. So if you're going to pick Florida State, I believe, to cover, you're going to probably pick an under in this game. I think that's kind of the way, but I do expect Georgia to control this game, if not dominate it, simply because I do believe that loss to Alabama left a bad taste in their mouth. One final thing, Palmer, give me one last thing that you're watching in this game, in terms of whether it's who's going to play, who do you think is going to show out. You've got some articles over at DawgsHQ. Tell us what you're watching going into this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Carson Beck as somebody that I'm really paying a close attention to. And, that feels like a cop-out, to say, oh, I'm really paying attention to the quarterback. But I think that everything we have heard from, the defensive players, his offensive teammates, he has been incredibly focused. And obviously there's been a lot of discussion about him and his decision and ultimately the fallout of that. And Georgia goes and adds 3 guys from the transfer portal after Carson has made his decision known. There's a lot of attention being put on 2024. But I think that he's got a really good opportunity to close out what has been a really strong first season as a starter, close it out really strong and take some momentum into 2024 with him, with a strong closing performance. He did not have his best game against Alabama. I think you could probably say the same thing about Georgia Tech. So, but talking to him, he just said, there has been a major difference between week 1 Carson and week 10 Carson, week 11 Carson. The opportunity to grow and develop, I think that he's had a huge opportunity over these bowl practices to grow and develop. Obviously a lot's been put on his plate, but now that is off his plate and he gets to go play football, I think that we've got a really good opportunity to maybe see a big game out of Carson Beck.
Mine is simple. That whole outside-inside linebacker situation we discussed earlier, I'm just fascinated to see what that rotation looks like and how those guys play, because obviously Georgia they're building towards next year with all of this. Do we see more Sam Mpemba? How do C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson play now that they've had a chance to kind of catch their breath a little bit and learn and develop in some bowl practices? There are a lot of unknowns out there for Florida State. There's some out there for Georgia too, and that's the angle we follow it from, and we're interested to check those out. Hey, tomorrow, Saturday, 4 p.m. ESPN, check it out. Georgia, number 6 in the country, takes on number 5 Florida State in the Orange Bowl, and we'll have it covered for you over at DawgsHQ. But for today, that's all we got. Y'all take care.